Hi everyone, I'm Anjali Danke and I'm so glad that you're here. Today's workshop is about something very close to my heart: understanding nutrition needs during pregnancy. How food supports the beautiful but demanding journey of pregnancy, which is a part of Hera's pregnancy journey. Whether you're planning a pregnancy or you're already expecting, this space is about real talk and practical guidance. You don't need to follow complicated diets or cook for hours. You just need to understand your body needs, work with your schedule, and say kind things to yourself. Let's dive into how small mindful choices can make a big difference. So, all of you are entering into a new phase. Along with that comes a new responsibility. So, one, you're on to the family journey where you need to make a few adjustments. You need to think not just for yourself, but for a family now. So, emotionally, physically, mentally, there are a lot of changes that you would be going through, right? Second are your professional challenges. So, compared to what it was before, where women were usually at home, had a lot of help because they were living in joint families. Now today you're living in a nuclear family. Most of the things you're already taking care of only by yourself with very little help and support. And so during this phase now, you still continue to have long working hours. There's travel that's expected because work from home is slowly going out of practice, and now all companies are expecting you to come to work. So you have travel that comes in. There's stress. That's something that, all of us are facing with work. So you have to, that part of your life continues to happen. But along with that now, you have to face these new challenges of pregnancy. So how do you find that right balance for yourself? Yes. So there is a way. So, don't look at it, I'll never be able to do it. That's not the mindset that you should go in with. There is a way to balance your health, taking care of all your nutritional needs, and your career going side by side. So let's understand a little bit about the science of pregnancy nutrition. So, pregnancy starts from the preconception phase, right? So those first 3 to 4 months, you're visiting your doctor. There are certain vitamins that are given to you. Your body is being prepared. You're told to eat in a certain way so that all your nutrients are well absorbed. If you're overweight, sometimes the doctor advises you to lose some weight before you conceive. So the preparation starts from there, right? And then there are certain focused nutrients like, for example, your folate. So that's the first supplement that the doctor starts you on because vitamin B12 is very, very important for your baby's growth. So, the first development happens only when all these nutrients are in good quantity in your body. So you need folate, you need omega-3. I'm sure all of you have heard of, how omega-3s are very helpful for brain development. So the first trimester, you have a lot of the brain development that happens. So omega-3 is equally important. You definitely need a lot of iron because now your blood flow needs to go for your baby's growth too. So it's not just your body that needs the blood, the circulation. It's also your baby that needs it. And then you need zinc and B12. So all these nutrients are very much required during this first few months, right? And then, of course, if you are in a habit of smoking, if you drink alcohol, if you're taking excessive caffeine, which I'm sure a lot of us do in the corporate world. So all these things you need to slowly get out of. So completely stop smoking, no alcohol consumption at all. And it's best if you can give up your tea and coffee for these next 9 months. There are, good alternatives that we can work on, but it's good if caffeine is out. So let's talk about this first trimester. Okay. There are common symptoms that you may be facing: nausea, you feel tired. I mean, you are not the kind of person who usually does, but because of this extra pressure that's there in your body of another growth that's happening in your body, you do feel a little tired. And some of you might find that you're very sensitive to smells. Yes. So usually you don't get bothered by them, but now it's quite bothersome. So these are common symptoms, nothing to worry about at all. So during such a time, what is the nutrition that you need to focus on? Yeah, so since we spoke about folate, vitamin B6, and a lot of water or hydration. Okay. A lot of your family members or people that really care for you might tell you, oh, now you need to start eating for 2 people. Well, it's not enough the amount that you're eating. But on the other hand, when you're facing nausea, it might become something like a tug of war, right? So what I would suggest is very light but frequent meals or snacks. Okay. So generally you have a breakfast, lunch, snack and dinner. That's like a 4-meal pattern that you're used to. Break that into, a 6-meal pattern. So the breakfast, you can break it into, say, just before you leave home, you have something light. Once you reach office, you have your, second breakfast, something light again. Then you take a small break and have, say, a snack or something to drink or some nuts. And make sure that you carry some fruits with you now, because fruits are very important during this, during the entire course of pregnancy. But remember, as you go further on, we have to be careful about the kind of fruits that we eat, because some of them are slightly high in fructose or the fruit sugar. So right now, whatever suits your body. The best thing during pregnancy is listen to your body, because your body will tell you what it's able to take in and what it's not. So if there are certain fruits or certain smells of fruit that do not suit you or you don't feel good about it, you can switch over to something else. But the general rule is, among the fruits, papaya and pineapple is something we usually avoid, because it has shown, though there are no proper studies, but there have been a few instances when it has caused, abortions. So that's why we avoid papaya and pineapple. But all the other fruits are good to go in small quantities, not in big quantities. Okay, so now that we've understood a little bit about the first trimester, let's look into what happens during the next 3 months, which is the second trimester. So here is where your baby's major growth and development takes place. So for some of you, maybe the nausea will start to come down, but you will find that your appetite slowly improves. Okay, so you tend to feel a little hungry. There are certain cravings that come in, and your nutrient priorities, again, iron continues to be a priority, because we have to prevent anemia in you, because the baby is constantly taking a lot of iron from you. Remember, the first 3 months after the baby is born, it's going to use these iron reserves to feed its body, because it cannot produce iron on its own. Okay, so giving iron at this point is very, very important. So ensuring that you take your supplements at the right time. Calcium and magnesium starts to become an important nutrient here, because your baby's bone and development, muscles, all of that is growing right now. So yes, you might have enough for your body, but what about what your baby needs? So you must ensure certain calcium and magnesium rich foods, like, you have milk and milk products. If you don't like milk so much, you could have paneer, you can have curd or buttermilk. You can have ragi, which is again a very good source of calcium. And if we look at the iron sources, you could also look at green leafy vegetables, broccoli, if you like it. A few raisins can be taken in, the black raisins. You could even have 1 or 2 dates, not more, just 1 or 2 or 1 or 2 figs. All of these are good sources of iron. Beetroot, sapota, all of them are good sources of iron. And then the next thing that you would need is vitamin D, because not only is it required for the absorption of calcium, it's also going to help the immunity of your baby. Okay, so your own immunity will develop well, because during pregnancy you cannot take too many medications or too many antibiotics. So it's best to maintain your immunity as well as the immunity of your baby. So combine, whenever you're eating iron, if you want it to be well absorbed, it's best to combine it with vitamin C. Okay, so you can have, like, say, soon after a meal, if you have an orange, it can help in absorbing whatever iron. Say you've eaten a dal with a lot of greens, and you have an orange after that. So then the vitamin C in the orange will help the iron from the green leafy vegetables to get absorbed. Okay. Another simple thing is just squeezing some lime into your dal, which has the greens, or if you're having a sabji made out of greens, just squeeze a little bit of lime on the top when you are consuming it. So that can help in increasing the iron absorption. And I think from this trimester onwards, the doctor will inform you that you need to start checking on your blood sugar levels. Okay. So this is where I was telling you, we have to be a little careful about the kind of fruits that we choose. There are some of them that are slightly high in the sugars, like banana, mango, grapes, pineapple, of course, is out, and dates. So that's why we don't do more than 2 dates. And if we have a banana, we stick to the small ones, and it can be taken, say, once or twice in a week. But you should try and focus more on the other seasonal fruits that are available, which don't have a high fructose level, like say apple. You could do watermelon, muskmelon, oranges, and then you could also do dragon fruit, kiwis. All of these are good options. All right. Now that we've crossed the first and the second trimester, let's move on to the building phase, which is your third trimester. So what happens here is the external things that you see, there's a lot of physical discomfort. Even sleeping becomes a problem because, you need to keep shifting. You feel a load on your stomach. You can't sleep on your back. You need to sleep on your side. And because of the increasing load in your belly, you may tend to see a little bit of heartburn, a little bit of acidity, some constipation, sometimes fatigue. So this is all this physical discomfort that you find, right? So it's good to take it a little slow here. Again, listening to your body is very important. Don't push it. I understand sometimes work may require you to sit for long hours. Okay. But make sure that you're sitting in a comfortable chair with your feet slightly, put up on a small stool, because that will really help to reduce on the amount of water collection in your extremities. So that will reduce that heavy feeling in your body. And when you sleep, take breaks in between to just lie down, before your meal, and even after your meal, take a little bit of time for the, food to digest. Sit down in a place, maybe walk a little if you're not feeling too, tired. So just take it a little slow and listen to your body. Okay. Now let's look at the key nutrients here. The key nutrients are protein. Why? Because protein are our building blocks, correct? So just like protein builds our muscle in our body, the baby also requires protein at such a phase. So there might be vegetarians or non-vegetarians among all of you. So if you're a non-vegetarian and, chicken and fish does not give you any nausea anymore, so including them at least 2 to 3 times in a week, eggs to be included almost every day if you can, 3 yolks in a week, all the other days you can have it as egg whites. Or if you're a vegetarian, this is where I think you'll need to pay a little bit of an attention. So if you're vegetarian, all the dals, like the split dals that we have, they are very rich in protein. They may have a little bit of carbohydrate in them, but that's fine because you need the energy as well. So you can take your split dals, you can take chana, rajma, moong, but remember, if you're having heartburn, acidity, gas, or constipation, chana, rajma, moong can aggravate it. So what is the best way that you can use them? You sprout them and then use them. Okay. Make sure that you get at least a 1-inch long sprout for your chana or your moong, and you can have it. Rajma, maybe you can avoid if you're feeling a lot of gas, right? And then the DHA, which is usually, coming in with the omega-3 foods. So, you could cook your vegetables in olive oil, have 1 or 2 walnuts every day. If you're eating fish, that can give you the essential omega-3. And you must ensure you're having a good amount of fiber. So where does fiber come from? Raw fruits and vegetables. So, choose those vegetables that have a slightly high amount of fiber, like all your greens, drumstick, lady's finger, and, things like you could even do broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage if they don't give you any sort of gas feeling. Or simple, like before every meal, just have at least 25% of your food raw. But please take care when you're eating raw food. You must ensure it's properly washed under running water. All the vegetables should be washed under running water. Maybe you can even soak it in a little bit of salt water before you take it out and ensure that it, for carrots and all of that, it's well peeled and you can have it. Okay. And here again, since you're increasing your fiber and you're increasing your protein intake, you will require a good amount of water to digest that excess protein and fiber. Okay. So if you're not someone who likes to drink a lot of water, what I would suggest is include other fluids, like say having a small cup of warm jeera water, or you have a little bit of tender coconut water, or you drink some fruit juices maybe, but without any sugar and freshly prepared and not more than 100 to 150 ml. Yeah, so you can include all these other fluids. Buttermilk is made very thin, good for calcium as well as good for your stomach, right? So these fluids can be included on a regular basis. So I think we've discussed this in the previous slide where we spoke about eating for two. I know a lot of people will keep telling you that, and more so in the third trimester. But remember, you just need about only 300 calories more. Definitely, you will be consuming it if you're already making sure that you've broken your meals into 6 meals instead of 4. Okay, so continue to eat small, frequent meals. All right, so now that we've understood a little bit about the science of pregnancy, now here comes the part where we need to balance it with our working life, right? So if we have to make all these different changes in the way that we're going to eat, the ingredients that we are going to be using, so it needs a lot of pre-preparation. Okay, I usually would use when I had conceived and I was expecting my first child, I would use the weekends to make my grocery list for the week so that I don't miss out on what all I need to keep at home. So the minute it is home, it's easier for you to make sure you're including it in your meals. Okay, it's when you need to, think of it's not there at home. Now, what do I need to do? That's when, it becomes a little disturbing. So prep for it during the weekend. See, if you're a person who does not have too much of help at home for your cooking and you're doing everything yourself, then I suggest even pre-prepping your food, like cutting the vegetables a little ahead, cutting the fruits, like say pomegranates, you can de-seed them and put them into the fridge over the weekend. So things like that, you can plan a little ahead of the week so that you have enough pre-prepped food, which you can just take out of the fridge, leave it outside to thaw for a little bit of time, and then cook it. And that becomes so much more easier for you. It's quite a lot of time saved, right? And then you also can work on these 5 pregnancy safe office snacks. All right. So eggs, of course, at any given point, preferably in the morning, because if you're a person who leaves home in the morning and stays back in the office till the evening, the first half of the morning when you're craving for something, eggs can work. But if you're boiling an egg in the morning and having it in the evening, I really would suggest it. So I would suggest to use it more towards the morning. Or you could even do, those brown chana, the roasted chana that you get. So you can even have those as your snack. Again, quantity is very, very important. Just make sure you don't go beyond, say, a cup like this. Okay, so this is like a 2/3 cup and this is like a 1/2 cup. So you could choose between this depending on how hungry you are. Okay. So you could choose a small cup of roasted chana. You could use different kind of yogurts. Now you do have yogurt, high protein yogurt that is available. You also have Greek yogurt that is available. It's very good to maintain a good, bacterial environment in your gut. So now all of us are hearing so much about gut health. So yogurt can definitely help you. You can add some fruit onto your yogurt. You can add a trail mix like seeds and nuts onto your yogurt as well. Or you can have fruit as your snack or nuts and seeds as your snack. Okay. You could also cut some veggies like carrot sticks or cucumber sticks or zucchini if you like it, or some capsicum if you like it. You just cut them into slightly long sticks and you put them into a dabba. Whenever you're hungry, you can chew on a little bit of carrot or a little bit of cucumber, and that should help you. If you like dips, hummus is a good dip. Greek yogurt is a good dip, or your simple tomato salsa with very little spice is also a good dip. So you could use any one of these as your snacks. You could also use sprouts. So if not the roasted chana, you could sprout your chana or your moong, boil it and carry it in a thing with a little bit of lemon squeezed onto it. So that too can help you. Yeah. And most of us, we, like I was saying, we need to eat a little bit more regularly. So maybe every 2 hours you drink something, every 3 to 4 hours you eat something. Okay. So have a beverage in between your meals and make sure your meal gap is not more than 3 to 4 hours. So what are some of the challenges that you might be facing? One, if you're staying very far away from your workplace and your work requires you to travel at least say 3 to 4 times in a week, then you might face challenges with your timings, and during your travel, you might face a little bit of nausea or car sickness, which usually wasn't there before, but during pregnancy, it can crop up. So what I would suggest is before you leave home, have something very simple and light. Don't stuff yourself up too much, because then that can definitely lead to car sickness. Okay. So have a very light meal before you go out of home. So it can be a simple, say, an oats porridge, or it can be just some muesli and milk, or it could be just like one dosa or 2 idlis. Just something that keeps you going till you reach the office, and you can have the second part of your breakfast at office. Okay. Simple sandwiches are also good. Something to drink like a buttermilk or maybe an ABC juice, something like that is also good enough, right? Then some of us might be facing odd hours, because I know not all of us, with the BPO and all of that coming in now, some of us are working night shifts. Some of us are working from the afternoon to the night. Some of us are working from early morning to the mid-morning. So depending on what your work hours are, you must ensure that you are planning your meals according to your waking hours. Okay, that is one. Second, I always suggest carry a small packet of nuts and seeds in your bag. If you've been having long meetings and because of which one or two of your meals are getting skipped in the sense that you're not able to have it at the right time that you're supposed to, there's all chance that you're going to feel very, very hungry. Okay, and the hunger that you feel during your second and third trimester when you've not eaten a meal is completely different, and it makes you feel very, very low. So to avoid these low points, what I would suggest is carry this small nuts and seeds packet with you, or carry whatever biscuits that you're used to, like a Marie biscuit or a high fiber biscuit. Carry it with you. And I'm sure if you just request people before you get into a meeting that you want to take it in with you, I'm sure they will oblige. So it's just a matter of asking. Yeah. So always have some snack handy. If not anything else, a fruit. Ensure that you have that with you. You could also, have things like khakra, makhanas, a few peanuts. So all of these things are also good options for you. And like we've already spoken about it before, a lot of us have a desk job. We don't need to walk, or, it's not a very active kind of a work environment for us. Everyone's just sitting at their desk and working, and it's more of mental work that's happening, right? So the best thing to do is take short breaks. Okay. So please, at least maybe keep your water bottle a little away from your desk so that you need to walk to it, drink water and come back. So that can help you, have the small breaks in between. Maybe, if you've been sitting for a long hour, maybe walk to the window, go outside and watch a tree or something also to get your eyes, to reduce the fatigue in the eyes. And that also gives you a chance to walk. You can climb stairs during pregnancy unless the doctor has asked you not to. So, you can try walking up and down one flight of stairs maybe, but at a very slow pace and be very, very careful. Okay. So let's also look at the way that we've started to eat, like what we call as the urban diets. What are the cravings that we generally have? And I'm sure that's like a daily struggle for so many of us, right? So let's start with understanding what are the common traps. Today, information is available to us at our fingertips. We have so many different food apps that tell us, what to have, what not to have. And there's just too much of information out there, not always put out there by professionals. And there are too many influencers talking about different things just based on their experience, but not something that's evidence-based, right? So we have to be very, very careful on when we use these apps or when we use such information to make our food choices. What I would suggest is only get your information from certified professionals who understand what is the meaning of having an evidence-based knowledge or evidence-based information. We don't talk just out of experience. We talk out of facts because nutrition is a science, which means there are facts involved. You cannot tamper with them. All right. So it's very important to understand where you get your information from. Now, with urbanization coming in, we have different convenience foods that have come in. Why? Because all of us need convenience foods. We don't have the time to do elaborate cooking, right? Like how our mothers and our grandmothers used to make everything from scratch. But today we don't have the time to do that. So that's why convenience foods have come in. So they are a boon in some way because it's quite time saving. But some of them do give you a lot of preservatives that come into your body. And they're highly processed. So there's hardly any fiber that you are getting from them. So majorly, many of them you would see are carbs. Okay, so for example, your instant noodles, no matter which brand it is that you choose, the masala that they have in it has so much of preservatives. You know, the noodles are so highly processed, there's hardly any fiber in it. And then we have bakery items that we tend to fall back on very often, right? Because they're so available. Any cafe you walk into, you have croissants, you have puff, you have bread, you have sandwiches, you have all these things that, keep coming in. So it's best for you to, be careful about what you choose. I would suggest if you can, completely take off things like instant noodles. Bakery items maybe still, yes, you have sourdough bread that's available. You have multigrain bread that is available. So you can stick to these kind of options, and all your desserts or bakery items, try and have those which don't have, sugar added to them. Prefer those that have jaggery. Don't take anything that has the sugar substitutes like aspartame or, sucralose. Try and avoid anything that has been made with those until you complete your pregnancy. Okay. So apart from the common traps, you have craving signals, okay? You must recognize these. Sometimes we crave for chocolates. Do you know why? Because that's a sign that you're low in magnesium, okay? And also a chocolate craving or a sweet craving generally. Soon after a meal, you've just had a meal, it's not even an hour, since you've eaten and you crave for something sweet. Why does that happen? So there are, emotional things also attached to it. Usually, research says that when you're bored of your routine, you tend to crave for something sweet. Okay? So, that could be one of the reasons. So, when you know that you're craving for chocolate or something sweet, it could either mean that you're low in magnesium, for which you need to increase magnesium-rich foods, like you have, all the seeds that are there, like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds. These are, they have a small amount of magnesium. All your nuts, almonds, walnuts, they have magnesium in small quantities. So these are some of the foods that you can include. So you can have a small piece of dark chocolate, but maybe have it with a nut. If you have a nut chocolate, then you can ensure that the magnesium is also taken care of. Sometimes you feel a craving for something salty, right? So that means you've not had enough water during the day. Okay? Though your hands might be reaching out to the packet of chips, but I suggest before you do that, be mindful, close your eyes and remember how many cups of water, glasses of bottles of water have you had today. And your body might be requiring more because most of us are sitting in AC environments. We don't realize that our body requires hydration because we don't feel hot or we don't feel thirst. But the body requires, or the cells of the body require hydration. So you must make sure that you're drinking enough of water when you're craving for something salty. So what are the smart swaps we can make? So yes, convenience foods are here to stay. Temptations are here because we have a lot of choice for our snacks. So if I'm craving to eat some chips, what can I substitute it with? Makhanas are a good substitute. If I'm craving to eat something sweet, like I said, just 2 dates, okay? with a little bit of peanut butter or almond butter is a good option. It takes care of the fat and the sweet, so it keeps your hunger, restricted, or it puts down your hunger, reduces your cravings. Okay. What if I'm craving to drink some carbonated beverage? Then what do I do? You can switch over to having lemon water, okay, or coconut water. These are the two good options that you have for, curbing the craving for your cola. Okay. And then the last bit, how do I track my patterns? For this, you have to observe your body every day. There will be certain points that you will identify that your hunger starts around this time. This is the time that I start to feel a little weak and tired. This is the time when, I'm very sensitive. Anybody says anything, I feel like crying. I feel like shouting back at them. I feel anger. So you will find all these little changes that are happening, and you can actually track those patterns, and you can help yourself if you're able to understand at what time, what are the triggers during the day that, put me into these kind of phases, and you'll be able to handle your hunger or emotional stress very easily. So I think all this while we've only been talking about what you should be doing because you are pregnant. But remember, this whole journey is not just about you. It's about you and your partner or your spouse. Both of you are pregnant, right? So it's best handled when you look at it as a team game. So yes, you need to pre-prep, but you can ask for help as well. Okay. I think as, women from young, we've been tuned to understand that, you need to do all of this by yourself. You should not be asking for help. They had their own responsibilities to take care of. But no, I think times are changing, and it's time that we are, we change our mindsets as well. So remember, all of this that we've spoken about till now, they can be shared nutrition goals for you and your partner. But the important thing is ask for help. If you don't ask for help, men are wired differently. They don't understand, or it doesn't occur to them that they need to do something unless they are asked. So when you ask for help, then it triggers something in their mind that, oh, okay, I need to support her for this. And then once you do it, like say you do it 2 or 3 times, then it becomes like a program thing for them where they ask, okay, do you need any help? Can I help you with something? Then those questions come in. But if you don't start the conversation of asking for help, then you will never get it. Okay. So use their help to do pre-preparations. There might be some days in the evening after work when you go back, you just don't stand, you can't stand on your feet because you're really tired, especially during the 3rd trimester. Ask for help and ask him to make something for you so that, both of you can sit down together and have your meal in a bit. And, maybe you could, since there's a little bit of pre-prep that's happening, you could just guide them on what needs to be done, and, they can help you out. Yeah. So asking for help is very important. It's also nice if both of you can share your meal times wherein, your breakfast, lunch and dinner. Of course, lunch may or may not be possible because you are in 2 different places. But if you can sit down and eat together for breakfast and dinner, I think it'll make a huge difference. That support and that feeling that you get, that somebody else is also there with you and you're not alone in this journey, can help you tremendously for your emotional support. So apart from the fact of how you're going to get your nutrition through the food and the meals that you're cooking, during this phase, it is inevitable that sometimes you will need supplements. For example, like I was telling you, your prenatals or the folates that you start taking even before you conceive, right? So those are very much required. Please have your supplements on time. The doctor hasn't given it to you because she just wants to sell something. She's given it to you because your body needs this extra nutrient. Okay. So though you are getting it from your food, you need a little bit more to support your child. So please don't miss on your multivitamins, your folate, if omega-3 or DHA has been given to you, your calcium supplements and your iron supplements. And if any of these supplements are causing a discomfort or a gastric issue, please talk to your doctor about it, because there are different compositions that can be given, and I'm sure your doctor will have an alternative. You don't have to suffer through your pregnancy. You don't have to suffer through the discomfort. There are many options today, but the important thing is you need to discuss it with your doctor or your medical professional. Okay. Now, there are some optional supplements also, like some of us may face a lot of gastric issues because we've not taken care of our gut before we conceived. Maybe we were eating a lot of processed food. So then the gut microbiome or the environment in your gut is not conducive to digesting all your food. So sometimes the doctors do advise a probiotic, okay, and a B complex, right? So, it's best if you can discuss this with your doctor, but unless you tell the doctor that you're having this symptom, or even your nutritionist, unless you're telling them that you have this symptom, they will not be able to help you. Okay. During this phase, the doctors themselves will advise some of the lab tests, like constantly checking on your iron levels, constantly checking on your B12 levels, your vitamin D levels. If you have had a thyroid issue, your thyroid test would be done from day one and at regular intervals. If you've not had a thyroid issue, still at every trimester, we may check your thyroid levels to ensure that they are still in the good range. And from the second and the third trimester, your blood sugar levels will be tracked, because if you end up getting gestational diabetes, which is diabetes during pregnancy, there are chances of it affecting the growth of your child, and delivery also could get a little difficult for you. So that's why they need to be pre-prepared. So that's why they keep checking on your blood sugar levels. And if you're eating right, like how we have spoken, if you're taking care of your nutrients, you can definitely prevent gestational diabetes. Okay, so let's also bust some popular pregnancy myths. Like I was talking about papaya before. Like I said, there's no evidence-based research that says that, papaya is harmful for pregnancy, but it has led to some incidents. So it's best if you can avoid it, but definitely raw papaya needs to be avoided. Okay, that's not good for you. But the ripened papaya, sometimes once in a while, is still fine, but not in big quantities. We did talk about how cravings may mean nutrient deficiency, but not always. Okay. So your cravings may also mean that you're just simply craving for something. Your mind is craving for something, especially if you're someone who is living abroad and your parents are here and you're managing your pregnancy all by yourself with your spouse. You may tend to crave for home cooked food, or even if you're living in a different city from your family, these cravings come in. So it's more of a mental or a mind game. Okay. Eating well is equal to excessive weight gain. Please, this is one phase of your life where you should not think of food only giving you weight. Okay. In this phase of your life, food is nourishing you and your baby. So you need that amount of food that you're eating, as long as you're eating in the portions that your nutritionist is suggesting for you. Yes, if you are overeating, it can lead to a little bit of excessive weight gain, which can again give you trouble when you're, for your delivery, right? So it's best if you take professional help and understand what is the quantity that is right for your body, for the, for the lifestyle that you are leading, for the kind of work environment that you are in. So it's good to always understand that. Okay, so mindful eating always supports healthy weight. So there will be weight gain because your baby is growing in you, but it should be a healthy weight gain. So many of you must have heard this from either your doctor or, your loved ones telling you that what you eat today is shaping the future of your child. I would say 100% yes, because what you eat influences your baby's genes. Okay, yes, they do get a lot from you and your spouse, but also what you eat makes up their, their gene pool. Okay, makes the way that their body is growing as well. So just like whatever you eat is making that new cell that's developing in your body. When your baby cells are growing, they're growing with what? The fuel that you are giving them, the food that you are giving them. Correct? That's why you are always looking to eat clean during pregnancy, right? So there are three key benefits. One, if you eat right, your baby's immunity will be strong. And all of us know how important that is. We've gone through so much during the past few years when COVID hit us, and we knew how important it is for you to have your immunity strong. Yes? Better cognitive development. So today you would see there are many children who, grow with certain developmental difficulties. Okay, they may not be fast learners. They may have issues, with their, when they walk, when they talk. So there are specific ages at which they're supposed to do it. Some of them attain it at the right age. Some of them attain it a little slower. So what you eat today may shape that part of them as well. Okay. And you might see a reduced disease risk because you already, you might be carrying certain genes in you. Say if your mother or your father is diabetic. So some of those genes are carried in you. Some of that continues to go into your child. So if you're eating right, the benefit that you get is that your child's tendency to, carry that disease or, it's a reduced risk in them. Okay. So that's why it's so important for you to ensure that you're eating right. And, if you take care of everything that we've spoken about so far, you can ensure that your baby will be healthy. And even after they, as you're feeding them, after they grow, even then, things can be taken care of very well. Okay, so when do you seek help of a nutritionist? So if you ask me, I would say from the time that you learn that you want to start a family, and you are in the preconception, phase, I think from then on, you should have a personal nutrition consultant who is helping you through to understand what to eat, what not to eat right from that stage. And, a nutritionist just does not talk about your diet. She talks about your entire lifestyle. What are all the different things that you need to take care of? How do you ensure that you're mentally prepared for what is coming? How do you adjust your lifestyle according to it? What is the kind of exercises that you need to do? What are the timings of your meals that you need to have? So, like I said, everything has to be customized for you. Okay. This, one plan fits all definitely doesn't work for pregnancy. Okay. You have to plan your meals around your lifestyle. Okay. So you might have persistent nausea because of which, whatever you eat, you're throwing up. So you're worried whether your child is getting enough of nutrients. So that is one phase during which your nutritionist can definitely help you. There are so many foods that we can work on, to reduce the nausea that you feel. You could even have weight concerns. So most of the time during my practice, I see that, a lot of the clients that walk in there, sometimes the pregnancy is not planned. So they're already overweight when they conceive, right? So they're so worried about the weight gain that they're going to have during their pregnancy. So a nutritionist can help you to, ensure that you're not gaining more than what you should every month or every trimester. When I was working in a hospital a few years ago, there was a doctor who was, a gynecologist who was very, she was very strict about how much weight her patients should gain. And it was a huge challenge for us as nutritionists to ensure that we stick to what she tells us, because she knew the complications that the mother will go through if he or she gains too much of weight. So, there's no need to fear about weight. You just leave it to a professional to guide you, and you will ensure that you're not gaining more than what you should. So that fear is something that we take away from your mind. Okay. And definitely, if you have thyroid issues, if you have gestational diabetes, or even if you have somebody in your family who has diabetes and you have conceived now, you must start taking care of the carbohydrate intake, the sugar intake, the fruit intake right from the beginning of your pregnancy. because there's all chance of you to develop diabetes if somebody in your family has had it before. So these are all the touch points when you can seek the help of a nutritionist. And again, please choose your professional properly. Please make sure that they are certified and they're using evidence-based knowledge to help you out. So like I said before, you're not alone on this journey. Okay, it's normal to feel overwhelmed with no matter which stage of the pregnancy that you are in. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. But that's why you have support groups like the Hera's Power Circle. You have Hera reading material that is available to you. You have action sheets that can help you to organize yourself. You have Hera group counseling sessions. So you can choose to do any one of these, use any of these resources that are available to you. Okay, just remember, it's one step at a time. Okay, don't try to do everything together. Yes, your body is different. It needs different, it needs a lot of extra nutrients right now, but it's not impossible to reach where you need to reach. Okay, and these are all the supports that you have in your journey. Please make use of these resources. This, thanks to the advent of the internet and the outreach that now, all NGOs like this, they have so much of support that they can give you. And it's because, you had this all at your fingertips. So if you had any queries, please comment them below. The Hera team will definitely ensure that they can help you out. And if at any point you need help from a professional, you can get in touch with us. So let's just summarize what we've learned today. So maybe, it will be refreshing for you as well. Begin your nutrition early. So remember, the pre-conception phase is equally important as much as the pregnancy phase. Prioritize whole foods. Like remember what we were talking about. Nutrient-dense foods is what you need to look at, and breaking it down into small, frequent snacks and meals. Focus on your hydration, and please don't forget your supplements. Plan around your lifestyle, not against it. Okay? So remember, your food pattern has to be customized according to your lifestyle. You must understand your cravings. There are small messages that tell you that either you are deficient or, your mind or your body needs a little bit of care right now. So cravings are not your enemies, okay? Cravings are helping you understand your body better. Build support systems, like we said, both at home and at work. You have to build a support system. So it's absolutely fine to ask for help even at work. It's fine to ask for help from your spouse at home. And see each meal as an opportunity, not as a test, right? So every meal is an opportunity for you to give your body what it needs, give your baby's body what it needs. So as we wrap up, remember, nutrition during pregnancy is not about perfection. It's about building trust with your body. Respond to your needs with care and asking for support when you need it. Every bite you take is a message to your body that I care for you. And when we support women during pregnancy, we invest in healthier families, stronger children, and brighter futures. So thank you for sharing this space with me. I hope you leave with some ideas, a little bit of confidence and reassurance that you've got this, under control and one meal at a time.